Oh, wait, are we on? Are we on?
Are we?
I think we are. It's just one of my jokes. All right, Phoebe, hello. First of all, I just gotta say, there are rip-off films, and then there is the Tomorrow War. Literally 10 minutes into the film, one of the characters utters the immortal line, "I wish Will Smith could see this movie." The Tomorrow War wants to be Independence Day so badly. It can taste it, but it is terrible. What did you think of the Tomorrow War?
What do I think of Tomorrow
The
War?
Tomorrow War.
I think it was a. I think I wonder how many people could have had businesses restored with the budget that this film spent to be made. I thought about houses that could have been built. It was a piece of dreck.
Yeah, the Tomorrow War, the today waste of money. The
It
today waste of money.
ruins tomorrow. They started a war.
They did. They started a war with who?
With aliens, apparently.
Yeah, apparently. Oh, I thought we were talking about real life again. They started a war with humanity and good taste, I feel like. And Chris Pratt went to war with himself and his movie career. We'll get to that later. And that's our intro.
I'm sorry. Oh,
What?
I told you I stink.
No, that was.
Go
What do you mean? Was-
ahead.
um. All right. Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back. We are still without Cassie, and have to change the title of this show. So I was thinking about Let's Yell About Movies. That's what we're talking about. So maybe that's what we're going with. Welcome to Let's Yell About Movies, everybody. I'm Joshua Dudley, a freelance entertainment journalist. I'm here with my co-host Phoebe.
Hi.
All right. Thanks for joining us, Phoebe. How are you?
I'm excellent. Yourself?
I'm great. Now we watched the Tomorrow War together, didn't we?
We did.
Do you think it's possible we could have watched it separately? How painful would that have been?
We would not have been able to watch this separately. We were barely able to get through it together. In fact, if you remember, we took two shifts.
That's right.
I was very proud of us for making it through the first 45 minutes
Hmm.
because it just made the second day all that much more shorter. But 2 hours and what 15 minutes this movie did not need to be.
I'm glad you call it shifts because it felt like we were doing unpaid work there. Honestly.
It was.
Yeah.
I could never get that time back. I could tell you that. But yeah,
Yeah, but I'm glad I spent it with you. Listen, if I have to watch a terrible movie, at least I'm watching it with someone I like.
that's awesome.
Okay. Okay.
Agreed.
Great. Now, you said that the Tomorrow War uh, felt like the end of Chris Pratt's career. Is that true?
No, it was actually a forecast into the future of tomorrow of Chris Pratt's career, which looks like a war zone. We watched all of his hopes for an Oscar die ever in his life. But that's what you get when you make those kind of decisions with your career.
Well, he cashed in all his chips for this one. And let's recap, guys. Let's Yell About Movies is a weekly movie review podcast. We cover new films. The Tomorrow War just came out, as we're talking about this last week on Amazon Prime. It's there for free if you subscribe to the world's biggest marketplace that is taking over the world, Amazon. If so, you can watch the Tomorrow War or not. We'd recommend watching it with a friend to for the only possible enjoyment of it. Now, the director Chris McKay did the Lego movies, Lego Movie, and Lego Batman movie, and Robot Chicken films that were animated and creative and fun. So, how you probably haven't seen those films, but how thinking of creativity and fun and humor, how much of that was in the Tomorrow War?
I mean, I loved Robot Chicken, but at least with Robot Chicken, he was allowed to be funny. In
Mm-hmm.
this, he's like you said, he snuck in a joke right in the beginning because I guess he couldn't help himself. But it just looks like he was making fun of his own terrible work. Gosh,
Uh,
really glad I'm not. in Hollywood show business. Otherwise, I'd never work again saying something like that publicly.
Well, we are not auditioning to work in a Hollywood office, because we wouldn't be able to lie about how terrible this film is.
Oh my gosh, I'm
Um,
offended.
yeah,
But it
unfortunately,
was fun to mock. I love Mystery Science Theater 3000. It's like
yeah.
my favorite series ever, and watching that was like participating ourselves in an MST 3K film. So
Okay, I got you.
go see it with funny people.
That's true. The more, the merrier. Now, what did you think of the sci-fi plot? Do you like sci-fi plots in general? The plot is, and we're at war with aliens 30 years in the future, and for somehow just, we send our best troops 30 years back in time, and they land on a soccer field. First of all, that's the first fictional thing in the movie, that the world is watching a soccer game, and that's how they decided to announce to the world that we're at war with aliens. They invade a soccer game, like, because of course everyone's watching a soccer game.
Yeah.
They couldn't, invade like the Super Bowl or something. I guess that maybe this is like an alternative Earth scenario, where
Right.
just where soccer,
Right.
it captures the world's attention in America. Oh, by the way, every action movie ever that involves aliens destroying the world always revolves around America for some reason. I don't know if you
Okay,
know
well,
this.
that's why I thought it was interesting that they chose soccer as what would have normally been a world unifying sport. And the United States barely involves themselves with, or at least rallies their citizens to watch it. And it seems that only Americans had saved the world in this film.
Right?
I didn't hear an accent apart from the aliens screeching.
No, 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 they weren't. Although it was nice how they had a very diverse supporting cast, I guess. Although let's be fair, all of the main stars are white in this film, very white. Chris Pratt, J.K. Simmons, Chris Pratt's whole
Oh
family,
yeah,
obviously.
oh yeah.
Um,
I've never seen a film more diverse and yet also more what's the word dividing. I mean,
yeah,
the heroes and the heroines, and it was the white people's story, but they let all of the people of color sort of like say the wisest things.
yeah. Like they had two black guys in the film. One was Darian. He's this real tough guy who's been on several missions to the future to defend against these completely alien rip-off creatures. First of all, they look like the aliens from the movie Aliens, except they have tentacles, so they're like doubly scary. You guys, okay? So he went on 5 missions, and he has these. Anyway, he's really tough, and when he dies at the end of the film, he blows himself up, and he says, "I'm gonna do this my way," kind of like Stallone would. Stallone would say, "I'm gonna go out my way." He did it. And there was also Sam Richardson, a very funny character actor from the show Detroiters, um, and he was funny, but they didn't give him a lot to work with. A lot of the scenes it felt like he was doing like an improv, and then the camera work just sort of cut him off. Do you remember that?
I'm trying to replace the actor that you're talking about.
See, he was in it so little you don't even remember. Okay, the very last fight scene where Chris Pratt and J.K. Simmons are fighting the Queen
Yeah.
alien, like, and they fall down like on the ground like in exhaustion on the snow. Sam
Yes.
Richardson like jumps in there on the ground with him, and he's like, and he literally,
Oh yes.
and he
Oh
has,
my gosh.
and he says, hey guys, let's just take a little break, like, because he didn't do anything in the fight, and that was their way of making a joke. Let's just take a little break,
Yes.
you know.
Yes. Okay. Well, I thought Sam Richardson was actually one of the best things in best characters in the movie. I think it's just him. I don't even.
He's funny.
He's such a yeah. Even when he's not saying something funny, I don't know how he does it. Like he's still funny. There's a anger or wildness in his eyes or a focus that just makes him the most. I just think he was the most utterly watchable actor in this, as opposed to Chris Pratt, that was making me wince and my stomach turn the entire time. Like he was so bad. I mean, I really liked Chris Pratt before this. I thought that I even liked chubby Chris Pratt. I liked fit Chris Pratt.
Yeah.
He was just too like he was constantly pristine, way too puppy doggy, way too many moments with daddy and his daughter and his friends. Like I was just over him. He was terrible.
Right. Oh, the daddy thing. Right. So the actual storyline was ridiculous in a fun sci-fi way, but they did nothing with it, and so it wanted to be Independence Day. Unfortunately, what we got is a daddy, you left me movie. So at the beginning of the film, he goes to see his dad, J.K. Simmons, and then he basically gives him some crap about how he left him. He was never there for him. And then when Chris Pratt gets transported to the future, this girl who turns out to be his daughter, she's like, "Oh, guess what, Daddy? You left me." And then, yeah, so the whole thing is, showing up your dad and showing him how tough you really are. I mean, do we really need that from this blockbuster action film about
No,
saving the world?
no,
No.
no. We didn't.
Why?
No. And honestly, did we really need a blockbuster film watching the Earth get destroyed by aliens? Like, we kind of had a rough year.
That's
I
right.
wasn't sure that that's what our culture needed. Like, during the Great Depression, that's when
Hmm.
Ginger Rogers and Fred Astaire would come out with these grand
Yeah.
ballroom scenes. Like, is that what we want? Is that what we need? Do we need to see the world completely destroyed by what this movie was telling us were Chinese
Oh,
aliens?
that's right. A little bit of okay. Very thinly disguised propaganda in this film. That's true. Did. Yeah, of course they wanted the world to come together and fight aliens. Okay, the white people of the world in America specifically. Okay, but still, I mean, they brought the world together. I mean,
I
didn't
didn't
they?
know what the politics of this movie were because they were like, it was clearly propaganda. It was clearly like, like you said during
Hmm.
the movie, recruiting new soldiers. But then they had the character. Remember the one white guy that was out of shape, middle aged, with the suit on,
Oh,
and to make him extra hateful, he had an American flag button, and he was all like, "No, no, no! I hate your ideas. I can't handle this. Too much money," and he goes away. And it's like, so we were set up to think that this movie was incredibly diverse and like they're fighting conservative types, but
yeah.
actually this was the white guy's story. And anyway, I digress.
Yes. And then Chris Pratt's wife Betty Gilpin only had a few scenes. Did you like her when she wasn't telling Chris Pratt that they should run away when he had that arm cast that said he was about to be teleported in the future, and then she knows that 70% of the soldiers come back dead? What did
Do you mean his harmless wife?
Right, his
His,
harmless
his
wife? Yeah.
unthreatening wife. I don't know anything about her. I think she was the most. I couldn't think they. I don't think they could find a more non-threatening actress.
She's a good actress, and how did she do?
She was fine. Worried. She did a good worried look. I don't
Yeah,
know.
I mean, she did nothing. I mean, she
Did
collected
nothing.
$1 million or whatever, and had a nice coffee break.
I'm so sure she got $1 million for this. No, I think everybody got paid $500.
Now, speaking of politics, I had this idea when watching the film that it's like I don't think anything can bring the world together anymore. So, like, I think if people from the future really did land in the middle of a soccer game, first of all, uh, the right wing media would say, "Oh, this happened during a liberal soccer game." They'd say, "This is fake news. It didn't really happen." And then the right wing people wouldn't support it, even though you'd think they'd want to go to the future and fight aliens.
Yeah. No, it was really split. Like
Yeah,
they had two different politics going on. I don't know. They did
yeah, almost like they were fighting.
themselves.
Yeah. Um, yeah. So Chris Pratt, before he goes off, he has a scene with his daughter where it's almost like it felt like that South Park movie where he told his daughter. It's almost like he told his daughter, "I will never die." Right? He was like, "I'll be back, chickpea," and like he had this. He didn't connect with his little girl at all. What did you think about the lack of connection thereof with like his supposed daughter in the film at age 8
Oh
or
my
whatever?
god. With anybody?
Yeah,
I
anybody.
mean, I was so distracted by Chris Pratt's like chronic furrowed brow that I couldn't with the feelings and it was painful. It was painful waiting to get through all these scenes. Like you had even said, you're like, this is an action movie, right? Like, didn't they like? And then you looked at like the budget was like, how much was it?
$200 million on his budget.
$200 million on this, and we were like, "What's it going to?" We've been in nothing but these like talk scenes of feelings. I don't know. I tuned out.
Yeah, the first hour and a half of the movie had a lot of ponderous talking scenes. They were trying to grapple with like, oh, what does this all mean, you guys? And also, I hate you, Dad. It was right. Just like, stuff that it was 2 hours, 15 minutes, or 30 minutes. They didn't need it. Like his wife Betty Gilpin had this like, she was a trauma specialist and asking people that got back from the war with their legs blown off, how are they feeling? How are you feeling with your legs blown off? How do you think? I don't have legs. That's what they would have said. None of those people were really upset. They were like, oh, I'm fine. I got these robot legs here. It's just.
Oh, we got to talk about the technology.
Yeah.
The warped technology that I don't understand in the show. But I have to say, that to the listeners at home, if you know anybody as funny as Joshua, see this with them. It'll be worth it. I'm still laughing at things that you said during this film. Oh my gosh, the commentary. You had to be there. But the technology. So they're using. So for the first scene with these aliens that look like rats that they keep making mention about China too. Do you remember any quotes? I didn't write any down.
No, it was painful. But
okay, there's some clear signals.
Yeah, they did have like some theory about how it was from a Chinese lab or something, right? Didn't they?
Right,
oh
right, right. Something like that. But they open fire. I'm sorry, I don't want to.
Oh, that's right. No, talk about this. Right. No, they go into the future. 30 years in the future, the best thing they have is like what, machine guns or what were they?
Machine guns. But we know that the machine guns don't work because that's what they said in the beginning, that you have to blow up their stomach. So you think you'd come up with something to kill them with other than a pistol and a machine gun.
Oh yeah, these things were annoyingly. They had to and they were incredibly fast moving, and they had just regular bullets, not homing bullets or anything, or.
Yet we're seeing these like Star Wars Galactica Death Star level buildings floating. Space stations and things like that. Like we see advancements in tech. We have time travel. You could put a big wristband on, and you can go forward 30 years.
Sure, why not?
Like some pretty incredible technology happened, but we still are using helicopters that crash and guns
and wasting human bodies. Oh, that was my other complaint. Like this whole film could have been solved with flying helicopters. No, what do they call them? Drones. If they just sent drones into the future with lasers, they could have wiped out all the aliens. These aliens can't fly. They're just running around. They can't fly. They can't carry guns. They can't throw anything.
Yes.
Well, okay, they can jump pretty high, but yeah, if you're a drone, you should be able to fly away from them. Just yes. Why? Why couldn't they just? Right? Okay.
I listen. If there was any mind behind the production of this film, it's for an exasperated audience to watch this movie and then say, "This is so dumb. We need more AI. We need more drones," and to get us sort of going in further into the Fourth Industrial Revolution.
Radio Shack should have sponsored the movie. They should have had a commercial.
Did they really?
No, they should have.
Does Radio Shack? I don't think they even exist anymore. I think they died with Blockbuster. Isn't that sad?
It would be sad, but they renamed themselves to The Shack. I don't know if they're still around, but I think they are. The Shack, maybe. Anyway,
maybe in Seaford.
The Shack, maybe.
Maybe you have the last one. No,
they call themselves. Oh, that's too bad. Radio Shack, man.
Well, Bed Bath. It's what's the big one now? The Best Buy.
Oh yeah. Well, go get your drones at Best Buy, kids. Arm them with lasers, and kill all these aliens who. It's not even worth writing down what they're called, because it was lame. They're literally just alien ripoffs. Oh, and let's let's talk about all the scenes that felt like rip off some other films. There's this one
Oh,
part.
let's.
There's this one part where Chris Pratt's daughter, who hates him throughout the film, she finally falls. It's like she it, wa- she was an alien was holding onto her. She was holding on to an alien, and Chris Pratt was holding onto her at the end of a bridge. Just like every single action movie you've ever seen in your entire life for the last 30 years. And then it's like she doesn't want to fall, and then when she finally falls, she like puts her hand out like, "Oh, I didn't really want to fall." And then Chris Pratt falls down to save her too. And then of course, right at that second, he's transported back in time to his time, miraculous. Because I'm sure he planned that, but it was just in that moment. And she was holding this ring, and she fell. It just looked exactly like Lord of the Rings, like when
It
Frodo
did.
falls and the ring falls into the
It
volcano.
did.
It was
It did.
pathetic. The whole film, they must have had like side by side copies of other sci-fi and action films, just liberally to rip off of. The whole
I
thing.
think I even think it looked a little bit like Waterworld. Didn't you make a comment too about like all that has to happen now is like Mel Gibson to show up in like a kind of
I didn't know,
golf
but no.
cart?
A what?
Didn't you say something about Mel Gibson showing up? Like, it,
Oh, right, right. I was joking about Braveheart. I was like, this movie, yeah, it seems to be like a big American cry for freedom. It's that all they need now is for Mel Gibson to show up with war paint on a horse and scream freedom. Yeah. Basically, it was like you
but it was
can't.
a little Mad Max Beyond the Underdome too.
Yeah,
It was also It was just one rip off after another.
yeah. It was. Yeah, it had this big American nationalism, like you can't take our freedom, aliens, kind of thing, right?
Yeah, and it was just so long. It
Yes,
was
that
like
too.
really long. Like I'm actually wondering if like I'm biased. I'm not. I think a
Biased
lot
against
of
bad movies.
I think a lot of action movies can be pretty boring. Like don't get me wrong, I love 2012, a good 2012, a good The Day After Tomorrow, where you
Sure.
see the end of the world happening. I'm a little bit of a sucker for those movies,
Hmm.
and this is kind of what I was hoping from that movie.
Yeah.
I was even hoping for a little bit more of a ripoff from Independence Day. This was just long and boring. And you know what? It would be better if Will Smith was in it, because then it would be the story of a black man without this fake diversity that they were shoving.
Yeah, it was another white savior movie, except Chris Pratt just like it just tanked his whole career for this film.
Oh, completely. I mean, he may have a career now in like maybe more production.
Yeah,
He may. I no.
yeah. All right, so let's get into some of the characters. So Chris Pratt goes to the future, and the commander of the future army, where there's only a few 100,000 people left in the world. The commander of the future army, and also the inventor of everything in the future army, and the leader, and a scientist, and a world class combat veteran is his daughter, who had time to be an expert at apparently everything by the time she was like 35, right, or 30.
Yeah, she's got like 8 PhDs, and she's a brain surgeon, a
Right.
rocket scientist. Like, right, she's everything.
Right, and she had time to at one point, they chained up this queen alien, they kidnapped her to, I don't know, do like tests on her or something, or figure out how to stop them. Oh, she kept saying, yes, we need to kill them all. It was like, kill them all was the chant. She was
I
like,
think she was trying to find out what the poison was, because if it killed the queen,
yeah, right.
it would kill them all.
Yeah, she wanted to create a toxin from something in their body to create a poison to kill them all. Kill them all. Right. It might as well have been a Trump chant. Lock her up. Anyway, you get it. Kill them all.
Interesting.
Lock her up. Anyway, just a little
Wow.
bit
Mhm.
subliminal. Anyway, right. And then of course she was arguing with Chris Pratt while the Queen was locked up about how he left her in Chris Pratt's future, which he doesn't even know about. She's mad at him about something he did that this Chris Pratt she's talking to doesn't even know about. So she's getting mad at him for something that hasn't happened yet, according to her dad, the president, which is
Sure.
you know pretty
Sure.
dumb. And then plus she like acting wise, she didn't carry that at all. She just like she didn't seem happy to see him or particularly angry. She's just like, here I am, let's do this mission. Then later she was like, oh, by the way, I'm super angry. It was almost like her acting coach was there at the same time. just yelling at her. And her name
She
is
had one moment on the
yeah.
beach. There was one moment on the beach, and she had some tears.
Mm-hmm.
And I believed those tears. It's, really hard to emote at all with a script like this. She didn't have much to work with. I got to give her some props to the
Uh-huh.
monologue on the beach where she again told her father that he was not there for her.
Okay, Yvonne, you earned this Oscar for sure. Yvonne Strahovski, Polish immigrant from Australia. That's where she's from. I looked that up just to give us some context here.
Cool.
Yep. Okay, so really dumb part. Like I said, she's wasted. They've they've tranquilized the queen by hand. She keeps tranquilizing the queen by hand, despite the fact how dangerous these aliens are, and they have tentacles and claws everywhere. She's tranquilizing it by hand. When of course, again, a robot or an AI or a drone could have done it and monitored like the queen's blood just to see how close to awake it was, how much it was in its bloodstream. But no, they had to do it by hand for some reason, despite the fact they have all this high tech gadgetry. And
Listen,
so,
it took.
yeah,
The worlds put all of their eggs in one basket, and that was to advance technology by traveling in time. And they just left everything else by the wayside.
that's it.
Everything else was still 30 years prior.
Yep.
Takes a long time to figure out how to travel through
I
time.
did it,
Yeah.
and so predictably the queen wakes up, and then of course every alien in the entire world senses the queen's awake, and then they swarm the ship. You see just hundreds, maybe thousands of them coming, and then guess what? This battleship has like a couple hundred troops on it, and like one or two like Star Wars like robot guns shooting, but very few. Again, they needed more AI guns shooting these aliens. What's the deal?
What I didn't understand though is that scene with, okay, so they really want you to get that these rat-like creatures are just beyond strong. They're the velociraptor of
Yeah.
alien movies,
Right,
right? They're just
exactly.
like the worst of the worst. So you see like almost like, what's the name of that movie? Z, with the you remember when you saw the zombies like
Oh,
go
right,
up
right, right, right.
on top of each other?
World War Z, yeah.
World War Z, thank you. So like it was sort of that effect. You see these things like running up the sides of the ship, and so then they cut to the actors who
Right.
need to step outside and look around with their guns, like, oh, they're here. We got to confront the 100,000 swarms of Pied Piper giant alien rats that are, and then they disappeared. Then they're like, pew, 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 pew.
Right.
And that seems to be enough. Pew,
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 you're right.
pew, pew, pew. Pew, pew, pew. And then that seems to like keep them at bay. I don't,
Seems to be it.
doesn't make any sense.
That's okay. And then it led to the scene where Chris Pratt's daughter Muri sacrificed herself. I guess handing off Chris Pratt the venom to go to the past to save the future. And then, of course, so basically the whole first hour and a half of the film, or hour and 45 minutes, is just to get this venom to fight the aliens in the present, where they don't know what they are. Oh, and then guess what? We go to the present. The time travel has been destroyed by the aliens who've overthrown the base, and then they're like stuck. And then we go back to, oh, I forgot to mention at the beginning of the film, Chris Pratt is a science teacher, despite the fact that he has a military background, which kind of weird, but I'll go with it. And then there's this kid in his class, this black kid, and he made fun of him at the beginning of the film when he was asking the class a question, and he said, "Does anyone know the answer?" And this kid was raising his hand like this, and he's like, "Everybody except this kid here." And at the end of the film, this kid who knew everything in the world about volcanoes at like age 10 somehow diagnosed where these aliens were hiding on the Earth. How did you like that?
Forced. It was contrived. It was just contrived. And I'm so over like Hollywood asking children their advice and saying, I want to be like you. Come on. Could somebody lead? Somebody get something right.
Well, I mean, they should have been playing father and son. I just want to be like you, Dad. Just want to be like you. Right? They should have been playing that song in the credits, maybe.
Maybe. I don't know. I don't know.
You know that song.
I don't know. But Dad did have the good line.
Yeah, that's right. So we go back to the present. So thanks to the fact that they've isolated the present location of these aliens in a crashed spaceship inside a volcano that the kid found, Chris Pratt goes to see his dad, J.K. Simmons, who spent a lot of time in the gym, and he has the only line in the film that we thought was funny. He said, "Whenever a kid comes to see me, it's because he wants something." Right?
Yeah. That was the only redeeming line.
Yeah, that was it. It was.
I have a fun.
Wait, no, I'm sorry. Let me get you the exact quote here. He said, "They say kids never come by unless they need something." Anyway, same thing. Go ahead. You have something?
I'm probably gonna regret this, but I have a fun J.K. Oh my gosh, I keep calling him Rowling Simmons. Story.
Good old J.K. Yeah.
So I have a fun story. What was the name of that movie that he was in about the drummer that he won like the Oscar for? Didn't he?
Whiplash, I think it's called.
Whiplash. Yeah. So my father is an actor, as you know, and did a few shows with JK before. And JK had a very different look. JK had like massive dad bod and, did not shave his head, and always a good actor, always a really strong presence. And my father's look is a shaved head, muscles, abs at every age. And he'd wear a tight black t-shirt and like black pants with a belt tucked in. And then, so after he did a show with JK, soon after that, JK got the big role at Whiplash, and he comes out in my dad's outfit. Like he shaves his head. He's got like the exact clothes that my dad wears, and now all of a sudden he's ripped. And so like I'm seeing him like, I'm glad he's kept it up, but I feel like my dad was his look was kind of ripped off a little bit, which is why I think JK was one of the best things in the movie.
There you go.
You can thank my father for that.
You're right.
Yeah.
JK was the redeeming actual leading actor in this film, and you're right. He owes your dad restitution. Let's just admit that right now. Okay, so the second half, or the last third of the film, where they were going to like Alaska, Iceland, or someplace, to this volcanic crashed alien site to find these aliens. That part, it kind of felt like a reset of the film, and it for a while it felt like a more interesting film, right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Sort of. Yeah, I told myself that too. Yeah.
You were like, well, why didn't they start here to begin with, for God's sake?
Oh my gosh. I think that they actually paid $200 million for probably a collective 15 minutes worth of actual like action film. And then the rest of the hour 45 was just, or hour and a half, were just filler.
Yeah. Now, funny little anecdote about filler. A friend of mine, actor friend of mine, Flint, was on set of Bad Boys 2. Who's the director of that Bad Boys 2? I have to look that up real quick. But
I'll look it up. You tell your story. I'll look it up.
Okay. Anyway, so he's looking around at the actors, and he does his hand motion, which isn't going to make any sense for the actual podcast, but he's basically making fun of the difference between actors talking and explosions. He's like, explosions, yes. Actors talking, no.
It's Michael Bay.
Yeah, Michael Bay. He's like, explosions, yes. Actors talking, no. So this movie needed more explosions. The audience was screaming for it. It would have made it more fun. They had not enough explosions, not enough exploding alien guts.
No, and I wonder what I probably it's probably very Hollywood, but what is the name of the director again? Chris McVade?
Direct Chris McKay.
Sorry, thank you, Chris McKay. I don't know what the future of his career holds. I think he should have stuck to Robot Chicken, but I guess Robot Chicken didn't pay the rent. Action movies is like where the money's at, but dang, he just like, I thought that the direction in this was like obviously bad. Like everybody. I think that actors that were normal, that were otherwise good, came across as overacting or not acting enough, or just. Oh, I just thought everybody was bad.
Yeah, I think that.
And
Yeah, it feels like the thing is on these giant budget films where there's like eight producers, like there was like eight executive producers, three regular producers, and a director. It's like all
yeah,
those people are kind of the bosses, and so everybody has a different opinion. And when you don't have one person really leading the ship, you're trying to please everybody, just like that Aesop's fable with the kid riding the donkey, and then you can't please anybody, and then everybody hates it.
yeah.
So
They couldn't even decide on like a technology. Like even the screenplay doesn't have through lines. I mean, like all they knew is that, like, okay, so we have two different types of daddy issues. Make sure they make up at the end, and that was like the most like follow through they had.
mm-hmm.
And I thought it was kind of creepy that they led us down this odd road where he meets his daughter,
Right.
and they try to set it up like she's the sexual love interest.
Right, that's right. Yes.
You even joked and you were like, "Hi, I'm your new wife."
Yeah, that's right. Because he's kind of like he makes like eyes at her before he knows it's his daughter. He's like,
Yeah.
oh, he makes like a little joke to her. He's like, oh, hello, I'm blah blah blah, something.
Yeah.
Right.
They let us go, and I never recovered from that.
Yeah.
I never recovered.
Yeah. You wouldn't. So, okay, so the ending scene in the future, the aliens are supposed to be hibernating for the next 30 years till they wake up because the Earth is warming. I guess that's a little climate change alert underlying. Think about that. Climate change woke the aliens up. But yet, somehow, when they're creeping around on this ship and they wake one of them up with... No, they kill one of them with the poison vial that actually worked. And then, of course, that little vial was just enough of a temperature in the rest of the room to wake all the rest of the aliens up, and it turned to a giant chase. At which point, the other black guy in the film, a character named Darian, said, I'm going to end this my way, and then he blows up the whole ship and everybody in it, except for Sam Richardson, Chris Pratt, and, of course, and your dad, J.K. Simmons. Now was that at least a fun ending fight with like the Queen between J.K. and Chris Pratt, who were sort of like dueling it together with pistols? Was it fun?
I mean, yeah, I guess it was fun.
Okay, it was an okay ending fight.
If I think for people that purposely went to go see the Fast and the Furious 9, Part 9, I think that they would probably enjoy this film.
Mm-hmm.
But people like myself that are not running out to watch the Fast and Furious, even with a podcast.
Yeah.
No. No, not fun.
Okay. Well,
you're fun.
Well, thanks. So they finally defeat this queen alien in a way too long fight. That, again, because of these bullets, just took absolutely forever to kill this thing. Oh, and then he even stabbed the alien with the venom in, like, the leg, and then the alien, like, ripped its own leg off, and then he had to stab it in the mouth, and you're like, why didn't he do that to begin with? And then the thing finally dies. Right?
Seriously.
Why not?
But I do enjoy movies that are this bad. Like, I love The Room. That's a classic film to make fun of. Like I mentioned before, Mystery Science Theater 3000, Sharknado. I love Sharknado. Like, so this is pretty bad, but and it's a Christmas movie. They even tried to rip off Die Hard.
We have no through line with this Christmas theme. It's just that you see Christmas decorations at the beginning and the ending of the film. There's no songs.
There's no songs. There's just trees everywhere. I think they wanted to mark the time.
Yeah, I guess maybe there's a lot of underlying themes that have no connection to anything, and that was one of them. Okay, so and then at the end, of course, like I said, Sam Richardson, and these two guys have just finally killed this alien. Oh, and the another part that really annoyed me, like they did upend a cliche, like J.K. Simmons was trying to like sacrifice his own life to kill the alien. He thought it was going to like attack him and knock himself off a cliff, and then Chris Pratt like jumps and side saddle tackles this alien and like shoots it in the head. saves his dad, and they roll over and they tussle with this alien, which of course could like rip any of their heads off at any second with its claws. Why are they like fighting it like close up combat?
No, they were not like keeping to even the same type of metric system that we have. Like they would show in one scene how invincible they were, and then
Right.
they were able to sideswipe him because he ran and jumped. Like it was just dumb, so bad. Chris Pratt.
Yeah.
I mean, if he made a lot of money out of this, good for him. Otherwise, shame on him for this. If he had any real ambitions for this movie. Oh, and by the way, you all get to watch him like put on some tight shirts and have some filth and mist on his body, but not on his beautiful face. So you get to see Chris Pratt almost reach his fitness goals. But this is probably the most fit Chris Pratt will be. So get it while it's hot, girls and boys.
If you're into that sort of thing. Okay, so the world is saved. It's a miraculous day at the ending of this terrible film. And so Chris Pratt's daughter is now 8 years old and doesn't hate him. And then he has this terrible, terrible, terrible ending line. I'm going to say it, and I thought we could have fun reciting it.
Okay.
He looks at his daughter hugging his dad, who he's now friends with, and he says, "In a future now, that will never happen. She changed me forever. My best future was always right there in front of me."
Daddy! Ew. Yeah.
Gross.
Shame on you, Chris Pratt. But thank you for the laugh.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. And thank you, Phoebe. We might as well go into a review of this film, I guess. You're
using 10? You're using 10 as your meter?
I think we should. I am gonna have to give it three green vials out of 10 for being a vile waste of time.
Yeah, I think that's a dang decent number. I think I'm gonna even go with I'm gonna go with a 2.7. Pew pew pews. Pew pew.
Out of 10. Great. So in conclusion, don't waste your time by yourself. Don't fool yourself. Watch this with friends, maybe. It's fun to make fun of if you have friends that like to laugh at bad movies together. Otherwise, there's a lot of much more fun things to watch at the movies, and we'll talk about them next week, I bet. So that's it. Any final thoughts? I think we've exhausted them all, right?
Oh no, I definitely need a nap just remembering all of that. But thank you for having me. That was it was fun time, believe it or not. I'll never get it back, but it was good.
All right, and thanks you guys. We'll see you next week on the newly named Let's Yell About Movies.
Bye.
Bye.